just posting content is not going to get you sales, not going to make you money in your business. And I've heard this countless times. I've invested in mentors myself that I've had to reject because they've not been working for me. They've not been giving me the results, because every time that people say, just post the content, just get started. It's like, yes, we have to take action, but just getting started without intention is actually going to hold you back for longer than you might realize. Just posting without value, without intention is going to be posting zero value. And why would anyone want to listen to that or watch that or absorb that shit? So again, just posting is generic advice that most coaches will tell you to just start doing. And it's like, no, there's an intuitive way of you being able to post, and posting content as a spiritual entrepreneur is just the one layer of an entire pyramid of things that you have to do in your business, right? But it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be effort if that's what you choose. Because again, when we come into spiritual entrepreneurship, and this is the thing that I struggled with for a very, very long time, is that thinking, and this is going to expand your mind, I'm hoping, and this is the whole point of this video, is you might be one of those entrepreneurs who are coming into the business space, into the online space of, there's this way of doing it, and someone's teaching that template, but then this coach is telling you the complete opposite thing, and you're like, well, which one's right? And it's like, both of them have 1 million followers, both of them have success, both of them have results. Why do both of their templates work, and which one is going to work for me? That's the biggest question, right? Now, that's just an example of 2 coaches. Imagine if you're picking from all the noise on the online space of 10 coaches, 15, 20, 100 people telling you different things that worked for them. And it's like, which one do I fucking do? Just pick one. This is my first step for you of like, just pick one and accept the part of the journey at which you're in your entrepreneurship journey, which is called experimentation. Because if you are too afraid of like, oh no, this has to be it and this has to work out and this is the way that I'm going, you're going to fail. Like, there's no way of bullshitting around this. Like, you have to be open to experimentation. And the most successful people are the ones who are experimenting until they reach that success, right? I think it's Dyson, the Hoover. I love Dyson. I think they're just such good Hoovers, such good inventions. And he had, I can't remember the exact number, I think it was like 340 something failed models and prototypes before he hit that one successful thing where it's like, yeah, now it works. But he didn't look at it as failures. He looked at it as experiments. And until he found exactly what works, he kept on going. So there's a couple of things that you can take from that with entrepreneurship and the spiritual entrepreneur journey even more so, because you are deeply connected to your intuitive power. You're deeply connected here. But at the same time, spiritual beings, some of us are so deeply connected to the manifestation world that we don't want to exist on the practical side of life. We don't want to be in the material world. We don't know how to be in the material world. Some of us use drugs and fantasy and music and all of this stuff to escape into the spiritual realms because we find peace there. But what we're actually doing is forgetting our reason for being born on this planet, our reason of making an impact. The reason why we had those challenging moments is to bring that spiritual wisdom and birth it into the material world, right? So the world and the earth can contain that energy. And so part of the purpose is for you to, yes, you're creating content, but you need to ground it with your practical vessel that you create. That is your business. That's all spiritual entrepreneurship, spiritual businesses are. So again, if you're if you're an intuitive and you have gifts, those gifts are here to be made money from. And that's you creating content and putting impact into the world, right? But the reason why content on its own doesn't do anything is because you need to know how money works, the energy of money. And most spiritual people come in to these spaces with those blocks of, oh, I shouldn't charge too much. I shouldn't this. I'm not spiritual if I don't do this. And there's like so much work that we can do around this. This is what I do with some of my clients in the containers. And recognizing that actually, why would your gifts not be chargeable? Like, why are you not charging higher ticket? Why are you pricing so low? And it usually boils down to all these collective old beliefs of the old system. Anyway, going on a tangent here, but again, we need both. We need the spiritual aspects of ourselves, which is our gifts, but we also need the practical, which is the skills, how to make money online, where to make money, the different products, how to create a product. If you're creating a product, how to be of service, how to be a better mentor. And when you're just focused on just putting out content and just posting for the sake of posting, you lose the connection to your impact and who you came here to be and how you are sharing that message with the world. So instead of just posting content, if you're a content creator, the first thing that I want to say to you is like, bring your mission and your vision into your mind's eye into your forefront before you sit down to film. And you don't need to script, you don't need to plan like anything. My thing is I'll show you actually. I have this little sheet here, which is literally my mission. And I have my main points, my main challenges, my main things that I want to talk about on here. And then I'll just look at it and I'll think, what do I want to speak about today? That's all my mission. Everything about my mission is on that piece of paper. So again, for you, it's like, really focus in on what is your mission? Who are you here to be? What change do you want to see in the world that you've been able to change or embody? And that's what you want to share and speak about. And then create your list. And then bring yourself with that intention of, okay, I'm here to be of service. How can I help that person? What needs to come through me? What gifts need to be shared right now that's going to help somebody else? So this is the thing that you want to be doing. So you're going to be disciplined about posting every day, yes, but you're not just going to be just posting. You're going to be coming from intention. And that makes all the difference in the world. I can't even tell you, from just creating, because I've gone viral on TikTok. I've gone viral on Instagram with some of the reels, and some of them, they're not really targeted. They're speaking as a tarot reader, but that's not my mission. That's not who I want to be known as and for. And I want to teach spiritual business. So now I've pivoted my entire TikTok of speaking specifically to my mission and how I'm helping people, right? I was doing soulmate stuff because I manifested my soulmate, and I was doing manifestation. I was doing astrology. I was doing all the things. And I was like, wait, these are all my tools. And these are all the things that I help people with, my client work in my containers. But what I actually want to be known for, and what I'm actually speaking about, and my core mission, is literally being able to build businesses through your intuition, because nobody's talking about that enough. And there are so many people teaching strategy and teaching how to build business the masculine way. I feel like there's nobody teaching it from the feminine perspective. And I've made money since day one in my business from my intuition, which is why this mission behind my journey is so important, because I'm the embodiment of not building business on hustle, not building my business on strategy, building business simply through intuitive flow and learning new skills, right? Which is why I want to teach it. So if you've been on that hype of, I need content, and you're like, I just need content, and then how do I make money? This is the key things that you want to be knowing, right? So number one is set the intention, focus on your mission and your vision and your why, what you are here to do, and work on those. Now, this can be a whole journey in itself, right? This can take you a couple of months to a couple of weeks to a couple of years, depending on how clear your mind is, because most of us are carrying so many limiting beliefs in our mind. It can be hard to kind of find that focus, and not many of us even know how to do it. Like I always talk about the Ikigai process, and I keep coming back to that time and time again. I come back to a lot of different things. So for me personally, what helps me and what I help clients with as well is getting the Ikigai process, which is a Japanese process. You can literally just Google it, and you fill in those questions that it asks you. It's 4 questions. And the center of that is what your purpose is. Now, I take that one step further because I like to go really, really deep and really, really crystal clear clarity. And I'll go onto my astrology chart, and then I'll pull up my Jupiter placements, my Mars, my moon, the houses it's in, the North Node, all of these things, and I'll gather those insights. And then I'll take it another step further, and I'll go into my human design, and I'll see how my energy works, my blueprint, and I'll keep revisiting and keep learning those aspects of myself, because you cannot be paid for being you if you don't know who you is, right? So for me, it's very important, again, this brings out that vision, that mission, that purpose, and who you're here to be the more you keep revisiting, which is why you will see on my channels, if you follow me all over the shot, you will see how much I've grown and how much I keep pivoting around, because that's what spiritual entrepreneurship can look like sometimes. You don't always know where you're headed. You just trust blindly of your intuition is guiding you. You don't always know which opportunity is going to land next, but you're following through your intuition. And that's the key part of really trusting your intuition and following that through, right? So this is where you want to be spending time on your mission, your vision, your why. Once you know that and you 100% are like, yeah, I've mastered who I am, what I'm here to share, how I'm showing up. And I told you, you've got your little sheet in front of you like me. The second thing that you want to be doing is disciplining yourself. This is literally it, right? And enough people don't talk about this. They talk about strategy and all this stuff. And it's like, guess what? If I was to teach you as a spiritual entrepreneur, like anything that you need to know, it's you actually don't need strategy that much, but you do need discipline. So if we're being honest, the one thing that all entrepreneurs have in common, whether it's an intuitive entrepreneur or not, is discipline. And even with our spiritual practices, if we are not disciplined with our spiritual practices, what happens? We lose that spiritual hygiene. We get all of these things, like I think people talk about it as like spiritually hijacked or spiritual, like your energy is drained, your energy is zapped, like all of this stuff, right? Psychic attacks or whatever those things are. I don't know if I believe in psychic attacks personally, but maybe that's just because I'm heavily protective of my energy and I don't allow that shit to enter my field. I just don't choose to believe that thought. I think it's a limiting belief. So again, Discipline, though, comes very natural to me of like, no, I'm going to discipline my energy. Like, I'm not allowing certain energies into my field. I'm not allowing certain belief systems into my mind. I'm not allowing myself to not do certain things because I know it's moving my momentum and it's moving the needle forward in my business. So again, and I've done this time and time again where I've done showing up online and then I've left it behind. I've done showing up online and then left it behind because I've been in the wrong strategy and I've done the just post it content. And I've seen where it's gotten me. And this is why I'm able to gather that wisdom from that space now, right? Where no, everything is intentional. And the more intentional you get, the easier it becomes to actually film your content, know what you're talking about. And it just doesn't feel like work. It feels like play. I don't have to think about anything. I just come on here and riff like I tell you in every video. So again, intentional content posted from that space of you learning who you are by going into your Ikigai process, learning your astrology chart, your human design, who you're here to be, your mission you came here to share. And then the gifts that you have are literally just the tools that you're going to be using to do that. The second thing is obviously discipline. The more disciplined you become of like, no, you've set a goal of losing weight. And I always go back to this because most easiest goal to talk about. Also because I'm an ex-personal trainer and now I've gained all this weight and I'm like, right, you're going to see me having a transformation because I'm on it now. So I will be losing weight over the next couple of videos over the year that you see. But again, when it comes to losing weight, we set this goal. And then if I'm not disciplined enough, does it look like I'm going to get results or am I just going to turn up the same look next year? Probably the same look. Versus if I'm disciplined and I make sure that I get my 10K steps in, I'm eating less every single day. I'm focusing on getting all my veggies, my nutrition, all of that stuff. I'm doing my mind work. I'm doing all that stuff. You will see a completely different glow up on next year on the screen. Same thing with business. I've dedicated myself to now not hiding, like going online for the whole year and being disciplined in showing up. Does it mean like every day is going to be easy? No. Some days that's what discipline is. Some days you don't feel like fucking doing it. I've been on my period and I've showed up online and I'm like, there's one video that did really well. And I was like, I didn't really want to film that day, but I did it and I showed up. People loved it. So again, can you find the discipline and make yourself disciplined in whichever area that you are wanting stuff to arrive for you? Because even as spiritual beings, we have to discipline ourselves. There's no excuses around it. And if you're sitting in that space of like, oh no, I don't need discipline. I can just do these things this way. It works for me. It's like, that might be temporary. But if you want that long-term legacy, you want that long-term results, you want that long-term vision, you're going to have to be disciplined. So that's the second thing. And the third thing about the just needing to post content. The third thing is experimentation. And I can't talk about experimentation enough because, again, like I said at the beginning of this journey, most of your spiritual entrepreneurship journey, even after you know what your legacy is, you will forever be experimenting. You will be experimenting once you find your, like the beginning stage of the journey looks more like experimenting to see what your mission is, what your vision is for some people. Some people know what that is and then they're just creating the product and then experimenting to make that even better according to how many people are buying, what people are buying for, the customer service, the marketing, what people are telling you, the feedback that you're getting, evolving that product, making more versions of that thing. All of that stuff requires experimentation, right? Stephen Bartlett, one of my favorite CEOs, he's a projector as well in human design. He has actually shared that he has a whole experimentation team in his actual team, like in his company. And that's so cool. Like, I think as entrepreneurs, it's the key thing that we need. And we don't get enough time of it in school. They don't let you experiment as nowhere near as much as you need, right? Which is another reason why we don't believe in the school system. All of that but BS. So allow yourself to experiment. Don't curse yourself or put pressure on yourself that you're not where you want to be, and focus on the blessing of being in the experimentation mode that you're in. Like, there can be so much juice and gold and fun there if you allow yourself to play there, right? So just treat it as play. Treat it as I'm just experimenting, like I did astrology on Instagram, then I did tarot and TikTok, and then now I'm pivoting with and same on YouTube as well. I started off with astrology on YouTube when I was doing astrology on Instagram, then I moved it to tarot readings when I was doing tarot on TikTok. Now I'm doing spiritual business. And this is my legacy offer, and I know that now, but it took me a couple of years before I got here. But was I complaining in the experimentation phases? No, I was fucking having fun, which is why I grew my accounts to over 10,000. And even now, I have my legacy offer. It still feels the same. I'm still experimenting with my product suite, which is why I'm now creating Intuitive Creator. The link will be dropped in the description box below, which you can sign up for, which will have the monthly membership of like all of the wisdom that you need to be an intuitive creator. Again, I'm experimenting. Like, I've got so many different offers. So I'm just like, when do I launch? When do I drop? And like, cash flow is coming out first. So maybe I'll finish unfiltered and cash flow, and then I'll put in Intuitive Creator, like all of the things. And it's fine. It's absolutely fine. This is my playground. This is where I get to play and have fun and experiment. So these are probably the core 3 gold wisdom bombs that you need as a spiritual entrepreneur to get started, instead of just post content. That's going to make you probably get like further along by about 5 to 10 years than people who are just posting it and can stay stuck in that roller coaster rat race. And also you can get burnt out by just posting it that way, because you start to feel really unfucking fulfilled. And we don't want that as spiritual entrepreneurs. We want that impact, that version of us that came here to speak something, to speak our truth with a mission, with a vision. And we just need to get clear. And in order to get clear, we sometimes have to clog out, unplug from the noises, like the voices of social media and strategy queens and kings and all these business gurus who are teaching from the masculine, and all of our parents who tell us, no, you shouldn't be doing this and you're not going to make money from this. And we have to unplug from all of that. And that takes time. So allow yourself each journey phase that you're in, and then focus on building the discipline once you do find that piece of gold that you want to be putting out into the planet, and allow yourself to experiment and play every part of the journey. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Like this video if you did. Drop me a comment. Let me know where you're listening from. And I'll catch you in the next video. Mwah.